Recovery means to be free of those demons that were in my soul that I used alcohol to medicate with. So for me, it's freedom from the use of those addictive chemicals.
And if you or someone you love is battling an addiction, the holidays can be especially hard, but you are not alone, and there is wonderful help out there. You just have to give them a call. Greg Hanley, Alex Rahici, and Daniel Baldwin with Soba Recovery are back. Hi, guys. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
It's good to see you. It's nice to always have such handsome dudes in studio. But we were talking during the break just about the fact that, and you've said this before, Greg, the holidays are especially hard if someone is battling any kind of addiction. Why is that?
Well, I think sometimes holidays are hard in general when families and people get together that hadn't seen each other in a while. But for somebody who has a drug or an alcohol problem, generally they were used to drinking or using during the holidays. And a lot of that goes on. A lot of that goes on at the houses that it's just a tricky part for somebody who's new in recovery, and then, a lot of the holiday problems are fueled by alcohol.
True.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I would see how that would make it a little more difficult than your, June or July or the summer or whatnot. Were you going to say something?
Well, I think another component to it too is that when I was in my active addiction, there was no structure in my life. So now you go into a family dynamic with a lot of free time. And when you have a lot of free time, you have a lot of more opportunities, for these types of things to be triggered. Somebody who is sober and is in a program is somebody who probably has a lot more structure in their life. Mm-hmm. And so I think that excessive free time that gets lobbed at you for a couple of weeks at a time, particularly during the Christmas break, can be very trying for someone within a program.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So let's talk a little bit about Soba Recovery. You have opened Soba, Texas, which is here, which is if anyone who is struggling or has someone they love that they feel needs to get some form of help, you are the guys, and I know your program is the best out there, and there's a reason it is. What is it that makes it different?
Well, it is it's long term.
Yeah.
And most of the programs are 30 days, and they honestly, they don't work. 30 days isn't enough time to figure out what's going on and get a handle on it. So our program it's based, you can stay up to a year if you need, and a lot of the younger people that we have are opiate addicts, and it takes a long time for them to get back on their feet and get their spirit back.
Right. So why are these other programs in that say 28 days and you're out of here, 30 days and you're out of here? Why do they try to claim that works? Because clearly it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work, and I think that there's an acceptance level for the public to understand that this is a disease. So now if I tell you by the time they knock on Greg Hanley's door or call Alex Dragici, they're stage 3 or stage 4 cancer. Would you go and get your chemo treatments the first 2 that month and then stop? Of course you wouldn't. You have a disease that you're convinced that can kill you. There is no difference between the intensity and importance of treating this disease as you would any other that's life-threatening. So with that, I say to you, you would go for the entire program and finish out your chemo and finish out your radiation because you're so fearful that this disease is going to take your life. This is the approach that Greg has developed at Soba, and we find that the numbers are astronomically higher in the success rate, which is what makes them the best and the most successful treatment center in the world.
I would imagine some people maybe watching right now are thinking, a year? What the heck am I going to do for a year in recovery? I mean, that's a long time for me to be, away from my job, away from my family. What do you say to those people?
Well, it's not jail or punishment.
Right.
So, and you're not really away from family, you're not away from your friends. You were just taking you away from your old friends probably and making new ones. But like we're talking about the length of time. For example, the first person who came to Soba, Texas when we first opened over 6 months ago, he's still with us.
Really?
So, we can't say names, that we can't disclose that, but more than 6 months later, the part that is like the long term where, up to a year and ongoing is the social side. So it's not that you know, you're in a room in a hospital or in rehab, tied to a bed and having to talk to a therapist, you know, doing 10 hours. It's quite the opposite of that.
Well, it's like a family. You always said
Yeah,
so. I mean, you're just
totally.
a big family.
But the stigma and the acceptance now in this time versus even 10 years ago about being sober, where you'd be at a party and you say, yeah, no, I don't drink, and they go, really? What's, you know, like, now it's being sober. Being sober is being cool.
Absolutely.
People love kids today. They really, it's a cool thing to be somebody who's sober and somebody who wants to go ahead and make their life better. So, you know, that's a big part of it for us. We find that, you know, there's a community of people out there now that are walking around with a smile on their face, and when someone and watch the other people around you. No, actually, I'm sober. Like, hey, man, great for you. Good thing. You know, I mean,
totally.
people get it.
Mm-hmm. They do.
Totally.
They do. So we're going to talk to a friend of yours who has come on set today, and he's going to share his story. And you actually met this gentleman when you were in San Antonio shooting a movie, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, we did. We did. You know, we're talking about somebody who's a very successful businessman and well known in town, and he finally took a look at what was going on in his life, and he reached out and he said, hey, you know what? Being sober's cool.
Yeah. He went through the program, and he's here to share his story, and we're so excited to meet him. So we want everyone to stick around. We're going to meet the friend. We're going to hear his story of recovery after the break.